All right, let's get right into it. What we're looking at here is a story of incredible highs and devastating lows happening to a major world power at the exact same time. It's a strategic paradox, really. A massive, catastrophic failure in space unfolds at the very same moment as a quiet, game-changing breakthrough happens in the crushing depths of the ocean. And stay till the end, because some of the details I'm going to reveal are genuinely shocking. Now, let's get back to it.
This right here, this captures the whole drama in 2 sentences. Picture this, March 2026. The high-tech satellites that guide India's missiles, its drones, its entire military machine, they just go dark. But in that exact moment of blindness, thousands of feet below the waves, a new kind of vision is born. A lethal new capability for its submarine fleet, giving its deep-sea predators a sharper bite than ever before. So how on earth did this happen?
So let's start with the crisis. And for that, we have to go way up, 36,000 kilometers into geostationary orbit, to be exact. This is where India's very own navigation system, known as NavIC, has just suffered a critical, system-wide failure. Now, to really get why this is such a massive deal, you have to rewind to the 1999 Kargil War. During that brutal conflict, India asked the US for access to its GPS data for the region. The US said no. It was a strategic betrayal that left a deep scar, and from it, a vow was born: never again. That vow became NavIC, a symbol of India's strategic independence. And now, that symbol is broken. Okay, so what actually broke? Well, it comes down to this: the atomic clock. You can think of it as the literal heartbeat of a navigation satellite. Its timing is so ridiculously precise that your phone or a missile can calculate its exact position just by measuring the tiny delay in the signals. So when the imported rubidium atomic clock on satellite IRNS-1F failed, it wasn't just a glitch. It was a cardiac arrest for the entire system. And that cardiac arrest leaves India with one single terrifying number: 3. That's how many healthy NavIC satellites are left in the sky. You've got one that's way past its use-by date, another replacement, and the newest one. But here's the killer detail. You need a bare minimum of 4 satellites to get a reliable position lock. One for latitude, one for longitude, one for altitude, and one to sync the time. With just 3, the entire system is, for all intents and purposes, blind. The fallout from this is immediate, and it is severe. The pinpoint accuracy of Indian missiles and drones, suddenly it's not so pinpoint. Civilian life gets hit too, with tracking for nearly 9,000 trains thrown into chaos. But the most painful consequence? After pouring decades of work and billions of dollars into becoming self-reliant, India is right back where it started, depending on the American GPS system. It's a gut punch to its strategic independence. And what makes this whole situation just agonizing is that it was completely avoidable. See, India's space agency, ISRO, had a brand new replacement satellite, NVS-02, all ready to go. But in January 2025, during the launch, a tiny little component called a pyro valve failed, a part that costs a few $1,000s. The engine never fired, and now a satellite that was meant to be a lifeline is just another multi-million-dollar piece of useless junk orbiting the Earth. It's an absolute tragedy of errors. But here's the twist. As the lights are literally flickering out in orbit, a completely different story is playing out in the dark, silent depths of the ocean. And this is where our narrative takes a hard left turn, from a story of failure to one of an incredible revolutionary breakthrough. So now, our story dives deep, taking us to the Karwar Naval Base, one of India's most secretive and heavily guarded military facilities. Because it's here, far from the prying eyes of satellites, that Indian engineers have just pulled off something that fundamentally alters the naval balance of power in the entire region. We're talking about this piece of kit, the pneumatic ram. The name sounds complicated, but its job is simple and absolutely vital. On a stealth submarine, noise is death. You can't have loud hydraulic systems. The ram uses blasts of high-pressure air to silently raise and lower everything: periscopes, communication masts, sensor arrays. It's the silent nervous system of a predator, and if it fails, the sub is deaf and blind. And this side-by-side shows you exactly why this is a quantum leap. Until this moment, if this critical system needed a major repair, the entire multi-ton assembly had to be painstakingly packed up and shipped all the way back to the manufacturer in France. The submarine was out of the fight for months at a time, creating a massive gap in India's defenses. Now, all of that work is done in-house at Karwar. The turnaround time is slashed from months to weeks, keeping the fleet where it belongs, on patrol. This quote really just says it all, doesn't it? Every single day a submarine is stuck in a dry dock halfway across the world is a day it isn't watching critical choke points like the Malacca Straits. Bringing this capability home isn't just about saving money. It's about projecting power and maintaining a constant, unbroken vigil in some of the world's most contested waters. Just look at this table to see how big of a deal this is. This is not something every country can do, not by a long shot. By developing this capability with a local Indian company, SEC Industries, India has just joined an incredibly exclusive club. Before this, only France, the guys who designed the sub, and Brazil could do this kind of complex overhaul themselves. This is a massive win for India's push for self-reliance. So we have these two huge opposing stories, a spectacular failure and a quiet, profound success. Why do they matter together? Because you can be sure that a major rival is watching both of these events with intense interest. So for a moment, let's look at this whole situation from the perspective of Beijing. First, they're looking up at the sky, and what do they see? Well, they see their own Beidou navigation system with a massive, robust constellation of 35 satellites. They have layers and layers of redundancy built in. Then they look at India's system, and they see just 3 operational satellites. They see a clear, undeniable vulnerability, a window of opportunity where India is technologically on the back foot. So, you don't have to be a grand strategist to figure out the likely play here. China's strategy becomes a two-pronged approach. On one hand, exploit the NavIC blackout, knowing that India's precision weapons are now less precise, and at the same time, keep pushing their own naval assets aggressively into the Indian Ocean, expanding their string of pearls with bases in places like Pakistan and Djibouti. But this is where that breakthrough at Karwar becomes India's powerful counterpunch. Because India can now service its own submarines so much faster, it can keep more of them on patrol at any given time. It allows the Indian Navy to essentially create a persistent submarine wall in the Indian Ocean, a silent, deadly barrier that directly challenges China's expansionist goals. So what happens next? Well, India is now locked in a desperate, high-stakes race against time, a race to fix its broken eyes in the sky while simultaneously doubling down on its newfound strengths under the waves. Now, ISRO is not just sitting around. They are in full-on crisis mode, fast-tracking the launch of 2 brand-new satellites. And these are upgrades, too. They'll be compatible with every smartphone on the planet. But the most critical part is step 3. They are in an all-out race to get the next satellite launched and working before that old IRNSS-1B satellite, which is basically on life support, finally dies for good. The clock is ticking. And while that frantic race is happening in space, this is the ultimate insurance policy down on the ground. The next phase of the Karwar base expansion, codenamed Project Varsha, includes building massive, hardened underground tunnels to protect India's nuclear submarines. We're talking about pens that are completely hidden from any satellite surveillance, ensuring India's ultimate deterrents are safe, even if its own eyes in the sky are blind. And this brings our 2 stories crashing back together into one single massive question. You have a profound vulnerability in a critical high-tech domain, and at the same time, a newfound rugged strength in another. Can one truly make up for the other in the brutal calculus of modern warfare? So in the end, this is the strategic balance for India right now. On one side of the scale, you have the inherent fragility of incredibly complex space assets that can be taken out by a single point of failure. And on the other side, you have the sheer grit and determination of indigenous naval engineering, solving tough, grimy, practical problems on the ground. It is a tug-of-war between 2 very different kinds of national power. And that leaves us with one final, crucial question to think about. Looking back, was relying on foreign atomic clocks for its own GPS system the single biggest mistake in NavIC's history? Or is the hard-won self-reliance proven at Karwar the real, true indicator of India's future strength? The answer to that will likely define who controls the Indian Ocean for the next decade. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for the latest updates on this and other critical global stories. Thanks for watching.